Okay, now we're going to look at what happens if we get a repeating decimal. So here let's do some division. So, got to figure out how many times 3 goes into 10. 3 goes into 10 3 times, because 3 3s are 9. But I've got 1 left over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a decimal point in here and a decimal point in here, and I'm going to use that 1 remainder and put a 0 in. So now I've got basically a 10 again. How many times is 3 going to 10? 3 times. With 1 remainder. So I'm going to put another 0, put my remainder in front of it. So now I've got 10 again. How many times is 3 going to 10? 3 times with, you guessed it, 1 remainder. So put a 0 in. How many times is 3 going to 10? 3 times, 1 remainder, 0, 3, 1 remainder, 0, 3, and so on and so forth. Essentially, these 3s are going to continue until the end of time. I could just keep on writing 3 with 1 remainder, put a 0 there, 3 with 1 forever. There has to be a point where you call it. You have to say, all right, enough is enough. We want to terminate the reoccurring decimal, because that's what it is. This is reoccurring. These 3s, they just keep on going. I'm never going to get a different number other than 3. So, now there are 2 different things that people draw to show a reoccurring decimal. In Australia, we tend to just put a dot. We tend to just put a big dot on top of the number that's repeating. So we'd write it as 3.3 with a dot on top. Now, I think it's Americans, they tend to draw a bar on top. So they'd write 3.3 with a bar on the top. It means the same thing. It just means that they're repeating. Now, if I was asked to round this number to 2 decimal places, all I would do, let me do it in a different color, let's go green, I would just be writing 3.33 and then I'd put my dot there. Easy. Cool. Now, let's do another one. Okay, so now I want to figure out how many 11s go into 3. None. So I'm going to put a decimal point down here and a decimal point up here to show that I've actually run out of numbers to divide, but I still have 3 remainder that I didn't use. So I'm going to put a 0 down and put a 3 in front of it, so now this is the number 30. Now, how many times does 11 go into 30? Well, 11 2s are 22. So it goes in 2 times, but I have 8 left over. So I'm going to put a 0 down and I'm going to put an 8 in front of that 0. So now I've got the number 80. So how many times is 11 going to 80? It goes in 7 times because 11 7s are 77. So it goes in 7 times, but how many leftovers do I have? 77, 78, 79, 80. I've got 3 left over. So I'm going to put my 3 here. I'm going to put a 0 down. How many 11s go into 30? Goes in 2 times because it's 22, which means I have 8 left over. So I'll put a 0 down, put the 8 in front of it. How many times does 11 go into 80? Pretty sure it's 7, which means I have 3 left over. How many times does 11 go into 30? 2 times. You guessed it, I've got 8 left over. And that means that's a 7. And then this is just going to continue. It's going to be 2, 7, 2, 7, 2, 7, 2, 7, 2, 7, 2, 7, forever. They're reoccurring decimals and I need to terminate them. I don't want to be continuing to write 2, 7, 2, 7, 2, 7 forever. So what we're going to do here, when it was just one number that was repeating, I just put the dot above that number. Here I've got 2 numbers that are repeating. So I'm going to put a dot over both of them. And that shows that it's both of these numbers that are repeating. So the way I'd write that is I'd write 0.27 with a dot on top of each. Now I think Americans write 0.27 and I think they draw a bar across the whole way. I think I saw it once on a video. I don't know, stick with the dots. It's better, stick with the dots. Don't do that because I'm not 100% sure. I should probably Google it before I make a video, but whatever. Anyway, now sometimes you'll get reoccurring decimals that might be something like 4.308, 308, 308, 308. Now, rather than putting a dot on top of all 3 of these numbers, because obviously the 308 is repeating, I've just put a dot on top of the first digit and the last digit that's repeating. And that pretty much shows you that everything from here to here is going to repeat over and over again. I don't have to put a dot on top of all 3 numbers that repeat, which is good because, I mean, if they're repeated every 5 numbers, you'd have to be putting 5 dots, and that's a pain in the butt. So you just put a dot on the first and the last digit that are going to be repeating. Okay, cool. And that's pretty much it. That's all you need to know for reoccurring decimals. Thank you for watching.